Environmental economics is important for several reasons. An analyst can prove the intangible value of a natural resource through economics. An example of a relevant intangible value is the true cost of a good or service. The true cost differs from a quantifiable figure. People can capture the nostalgic feeling during an experience and place intrinsic value in the moment. The significance of an experience factors into the true value. People have either exclusive or non exclusive rights to value goods or services. Each right factors into the consumer's demand for the resource. Four variables or core concepts of consumption: exclusive, non exclusive, excludable, and non excludable rights. An example of an exclusive good or service is something a person has sole propriety over. Something sold for fair market value to a customer is an example of an exclusive good. Commodities are goods exclusively sold in the domestic economy. Natural capital is a commodity. Water is a natural capital. A good or service is exclusive when a person purchases the right to access the commodity. Water sold to a person from a municipality or an organization is an exclusive good. People expect to receive quality water and services maintained by the provider. The intrinsic value of clean water and quality of services factors into the consumer's demand. Demand implicates the willingness to pay for a non exclusive service. People also expect to purchase a commodity at a fair market value. A service provider controls the market value of a commodity. Federal, state, and local government entities require people to use their best practices for making water safe for public use. Laws and rules issued by the government are mandates to ensure water quality standards. Terms of the fair market value agreement implicate the benefits a consumer receives in the trade-off. The stipulation in the trade-off is customer will pay for a specific amount of water and receive access to the natural resource of reasonable standards. A specific benefit is customers can use water for personal, commercial, or recreational purposes. Quality water is a reasonable standard. A non-exclusive right is freedom provided to anyone able to access a good or service. The benefit is non-exclusive because no exclusion restricts availability to the people. People at a public building have non-exclusive rights. Individuals have freedom and access to enjoy a free service. All groups and individuals in a public place can use amenities offered to the public. Non-exclusive and non-excludable rights are significantly different. Exclusive rights diminish the ability to benefit from the good or service. The restrictions are social norms because resources on private land are property. Property is an exclusive and excludable good. Property owner can exclude people from receiving exclusive access to a good or service. An example is the restriction to water available in a public area. The restriction can happen after business hours or during a curfew. Loitering and trespass rules limit exclusive rights. Property owners and managers can legally exclude people because accessibility is contingent upon rights granted to the public. Anyone can benefit from non-excludable and non-exclusive goods. Sunlight is an example of a non-exclusive and non-excludable good. In some instances, rain is non-exclusive, non-excludable. Statutes in Utah and Colorado limit citizens from capturing and controlling water for personal or beneficial purposes. The rule in Utah limiting water capture is Title 73, Chapter 3, Section 1.5. Quote, after registering for the capture and storage of precipitation in accordance with subsection 5, a person may collect and store precipitation in a container installed in accordance with the State Constitution Code or an approved code under Title 15A, State Construction and Fire Codes Act. For a person who uses only one container on a partial, the total capacity of the container is no more than 2,500 gallons. Or for a person who uses more than one container or a partial, the aggregate capacity of the containers is no more than 2,500 gallons. End of quote. Specifically, Utah residents can store up to 2,500 gallons of rainwater. Residents in Colorado must adhere to residential precipitation collection mandates. Per the Colorado General Assembly, Section 1 of the Act allows the collection of precipitation from a residential rooftop if a maximum of 2 rain barrels with a combined storage capacity of 110 gallons or less are used. End of quote. Colorado residents can capture no more than 110 gallons of rainwater. Exclusivity is not limited to the amount of water people can capture. The federal government historically did not uphold uniform water quality standards in the contingent United States, specifically regions defined as the lower 48 states. The Winters Doctrine legalizes water rights in tribal nations. The Environmental Protection Agency plotted the following statement, quote, the Winters Doctrine established that when a reservation was created, the reserved water rights were in sufficient quantity to meet the needs of the reservation's purpose. Quote, generally, water rights are reserved and apply to surface waters. However, in some cases, groundwater rights may also be implicated in the western states. End of quote. People living in federally protected regions can access water because of the rights to a sufficient water supply. The statement made during the court case, Winters versus the United States, adds context to the event. Quote, if defendants are deprived of the waters, their lands cannot be successfully cultivated and will become useless, and homes cannot be maintained thereon. End of quote. Someone could argue the decision to guarantee water rights to federally protected regions was an economic decision. The intangible and intrinsic value of quality water are not guarantees granted to people protected by the Winters Doctrine. Clean Water Act standards do not apply to water distributed in federally protected regions. The Clean Water Act was established in 1972 and was a response to ongoing environmental issues. The specific event was the 1969 River Fire. The Clean Water Act established thresholds and standards for the natural resource. The objective was to ensure water is safe, enjoyable, and conducive to the quality of life. Winters versus the United States took place in 1908. In May 2024, the Environmental Protection Agency released the following statement, quote, today, May 2nd, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency announced a final rule that will help protect water quality where tribes hold and assert rights to aquatic and aquatic-dependent resources. For the first time, the action establishes a clear and consistent national framework for EPA and states to consider tribal treaty and reserve rights when established water quality standards under the Clean Water Act. When implemented, this final rule will better protect waters that the tribes depend on for fishing, gathering wild rice, cultural practices, and other uses. End of quote. This decision took place 52 years after the Clean Water Act was established and 126 years after Winters versus the United States.